truth, and life. Here is the Brother Leon Show. You better recognize.
What's going on, listeners? This is your boy, Brother Leon, and you are tuning into another episode of the Brother Leon Show. So today, guys, I got a special guest coming on today. His name is JJ. We are going to go into part 2, talking about free speech and trolls. So let's go on in this piece. I think the one thing that I want you guys to understand and know is this, is that we live in an age where people, man, they just get to say anything. And I love the fact that we can be reckless with our speech, we can be ratchet with our speech, but we can even be healing and be constructive people with our speech. We can build. Because I believe that as a Christian, that every voice has significance. And one thing that I want as a man of God is to have a large world view and to be able to hear people, to be able to hear the voice of humanity. Because I'm not going to lie, man, the world is not just for Christians. The world is for everybody. The earth is for everybody, not just Christians. And so today, I have the opportunity to speak with a young man. And the one thing that I admire about him is his worldview. I admire about him, his worldview is so broad and he is able to navigate, through different perspectives, ideologies, and so forth. And what I see in JJ is the beginning of a content creator who is going to impact his generation. So I'm going to give you props, JJ, right now, because I see the potential. And I see the potential, and I see that it could go very far, and he could be an influential voice in this generation and the generation to come. Because he's bigger than Clubhouse. That's the one thing that I've seen. And he will argue points, but he will also see perspectives as well. So today, guys, we got JJ coming to the stage. Hold tight. All right, listeners, we got JJ coming to the stage. JJ.
What's good? What's going on, brother?
Man, I just want to say thank you for coming on today. I so appreciate you.
No problem.
I so appreciate you, man, and your worldview and your perspective and everything. And I just remember, all the rooms that I've been in with you and everything since being on this Clubhouse app, and just listening to your voice and listening to how you explain certain situations and scenarios and just seeing your worldview. I'm like, man, he is so bigger than Clubhouse. You know what I mean? So I just want to say thank you. And I'm believing that, whenever you start your program, whenever you start your show, that you will have, I'm serious, because I see it now. I see it with you. I see it with Mother, that you guys already have a following. And I'm just praying and believing God that the following and the audience that you build here will carry over into whatever stream or venue that you want to do, whether it's audio, whether it's video, because I see that with you. And I just want to say thank you for your gift.
Well, thank you, brother. Amen to that. I thank you for speaking all those things into existence. Like I definitely, just hearing that just brings me so much joy because, being a public personality, sharing my perspective and my opinions and my thoughts. This is something that's very natural to me. I've been outspoken and extroverted since I was a little kid. I mean, I've always been a talker. I've been blessed and sometimes cursed with the gift of gab. It wasn't always seen as as a blessing, to my parents or my teachers who used to get mad at me for finishing my work too early when I was in school and just socializing with my classmates. But it served me well in my adulthood because I just love connecting with people and I love relating to people. And I have an opinion on everything. I'm a naturally outspoken person, and I tend to be a really great conversationalist just because I have an opinion on everything, and I'm not shy. I'm naturally quite extroverted, and I love to engage. I love to get into things, and it's just something that comes really naturally to me.
I love that too about you. Let me give you some applause. So I want to start off with the first question. Who are you?
All right.
Who are you?
Who am I? Well, I am definitely an amalgamation of so many different things. I like to think of myself kind of like, the box of chocolates from like Forrest Gump, but like a high-end version, It's just like, like the version that you would get, your significant other, for their like their anniversary or something like that, because it's like you don't know, like what you don't know exactly what's going to be inside, but that it's going to be tasty, satisfying, and delicious. So depending on where you bite is depending on what you're going to get, but it's always going to be a moment when it comes to JJ. By the way, I mean, that's a nickname, that I given myself. I mean, my name is Jordan, so hi y'all. My name is Jordan, Jordan Wright. We want to go there. But I go by JJ, particularly on the app, on Clubhouse, and things like that, because I just feel like it's a fun nickname that suits my personality. I mean, it's a nickname that I gave myself, Jordan J, so no JJ. I'm a person who has always been a smart cookie and a social butterfly ever since I was a little kid. I mean, I'm that person who is just, like I said, outspoken, bold, witty, a bit shady at times, but I've always been told that I'm naturally entertaining. People tend to, just enjoy me, my sense of humor and my, I guess just like authentic perspective. I'm very genuine. I'm a straight shooter, pal, like Wendy Williams. Shout out to her. I just keep it real. I'm very, I don't shy away from, whatever the subject matter is, because I think that there is, especially like nowadays, there's so many people who are really, apprehensive about just sharing their authentic, viewpoints, and they shy away from those things because, they're afraid to get canceled. They're afraid that people are gonna, come for them and judge them. But that's not me. I think that what I've noticed is, over the years is me being who I am, just naturally, authentically, living my, life. The people who gravitate to you, those are your people. Those are the people who you're meant to be with. Like, not everybody is for everybody, and that's okay. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's kind of like how I navigate my life,
Yeah. But hey, let me give you some applause, because thank you for definitely, pointing that out. You know what I mean? The people that gravitate to you, or the people that, that want to be with you are pretty much your tribe to a certain degree. So,
right.
So let me ask you this. How did you get introduced to Clubhouse?
How did I get introduced to Clubhouse? Okay, so I actually got introduced to Clubhouse because of this guy who, funnily enough, is never on here anymore. But it's basically I was okay. So let me roll back the tape a little bit. So last year I used to be on Twitter. That's since changed. There's several reasons for that, but I'm not going to get into that at this venture. But I will say that basically there was this guy who used to run a lot of Twitter Spaces, like when Twitter started the whole Twitter Spaces thing, and he would host these rooms, very much like Clubhouse, and it was, you know, on different topics and things like that. So he was basically doing the Clubhouse thing, but on Twitter Spaces, and then he shifted over to Clubhouse. I had actually never even heard of Clubhouse prior to that, and that's why I created my account about a year ago, and I was just, you know, in his rooms just like a couple of times, and then I just naturally migrated elsewhere. But I basically, like, so that was like the inception, right? But more recently, about a couple of months ago, I came back to Clubhouse, and that's really kind of like the birth of JJ on Clubhouse. I mean, I really wanted to engage. I think, especially with the pandemic, just shifting so many different things, you know, keeping me feeling so confined and so, you know, desolate, you know, away from everybody, because a lot of my you know, my people, friends, you know, family, I just don't get to see on the regular, and, you know, everything is, you know, virtual now. Everything is digital. You know, everything is like a FaceTime or whatever. And I've just been craving social interaction and social engagement. Really, like I said, like I've always naturally craved that. I've always been a social butterfly, and I've missed that. You know, I used to go out on the regular and socialize, and, you know, whether it was at a bar or at an event or whatever the case may be. And, you know, since the pandemic, all that has changed, you know, because, you know, even though a lot of people would like to believe that it's over, you know, it's just in a different stage. So I've just really, you know, for safety reasons and also just for comfortability reasons, I just kind of shifted into like my own little, you know, bubble, you know, here in New York City. And, you know, but I've just been craving, you know, to talk to people and to, you know, get into hot topics and just to engage. So I, you know, got on Clubhouse, and, you know, it's been a few months now, and it's definitely been a mixed bag here, but I'm definitely enjoying the ride.
Well, hey, I'm enjoying the rooms that you be in too, man. Let me give you some applause, because I love some of the topics that you come up with, and even some of the rooms that you come and visit, because you know, you always give that perspective, and you always come, you know, your perspective, if I can say, has always been balanced. It's never been, you know, one extreme or another extreme. It's always being able to see the balance and also see another person's perspective and view. Even if you don't agree with it, you still see it. And that's the one thing that I like about you, you know, that you're able to do that, and you can navigate it without personally attacking a person.
Well, I'm a natural born leader. I mean, I'm the oldest sibling in my family. I've always kind of marched to the beat of my own drum. Like, I don't like to, I've never been a bandwagon person. I've never been the person to just kind of go along to get along when it comes to just a conversation, or to shy away from something that might be a bit controversial. Sometimes my opinions can be somewhat polarizing, but what I find is that so many people resonate with what I say, and because of the undertone of respect and the undertone of consideration that I have for people just on a human level, I think that people tend to, even if they don't agree with me, they tend to see where I am, see my perspective, see where I fall, and in a topic or in a conversation, and be able to be like, you know what, I can mess with him, I get it, and I can appreciate. They tend to appreciate me for that. So I found that, and it wasn't always easy, because sometimes you're like, you don't want to upset people. People, especially now, there's heightened sensitivity, to certain subjects, and a lot of the conversations that I engage in are a bit touchy, the somewhat controversial, provocative topics. But I think that's where the money is. That's where the gold is, because when you actually can get to the heart, get to the root of an issue, you can, open things up. Like, you can get people to understand that a lot of times when we're discussing these things, it's not about, one person versus the other. It's really just about bringing a light to certain things that need to be adjusted and reconstructed within society. It's really just about the issues themselves,
Yeah, definitely. And let me give you some applause on that, because I see that one. So because here's the one thing that, and I'm not gonna lie, man, it seemed like when you get to talking about black trans women and black heterosexual women, and that whole dynamic within that, it's almost like, yo, man, you be shining when you start telling the truth about it. I'm serious.
Well, when it comes to, like, listen, okay, so me, first of all, I'm a very, out and proud member of the LGBT community. I'm gay, been gay since day one, and I've definitely had a journey in terms of, being bold and being out, if you will. But I, at this point in my life, and really for like several years, I've just been navigating my life, living my life like it's golden. Shout out to Jill Scott. So when it comes to the trans issue, especially in sort of recent current events, and with all of the vocality, like the outspoken nature of the causes that the trans community is advocating for, and the things that are being requested. I think it's important to be intellectually honest about the entire scope of these issues. And that's what I try to navigate, because the reality is that most people can get on board and understand why people are, when it comes to the trans community, like why they are asking for the things that they're asking for. They may not completely understand everything, but when it comes to some logistical things, whether it be, the right to go into women's bathrooms, whether it be, playing on sports teams, things like that, people understand, just the wanting, the yearning for equality when it comes to trans women. I think that what often gets glossed over is the sort of logistical, pragmatic application of these issues, of these things that are being asked. And I think it's always important for me to discuss these issues in their totality. It's like, if we're going to talk about it, we got to talk about it, break this thing down from every angle so that people can understand that, there are viable, credible, reasonable points on both sides. But these issues are very complex, and honestly, they're going to take definitely a deep dive and a lot of brilliant and willing minds to come up with solutions. I like to be solution oriented, because I like everybody to win, so that's how I try to navigate those discussions. And sometimes I get a little bit of flack, because the reality is that as things stand the way that they are, it might take a little while, for some of the things to be implemented to just kind of make everybody feel happy and safe. But in the meantime, in between time, we just got to keep it real. And so that's where that's how I always try to bridge that. I try to bridge that gap, being LGBT member as a gay man, but also being somebody who is very much for the safety and protection of women, because we already know we live in this patriarchal society. Women are already subjugated, and just they got so much on their plate, y'all. They already out here birthing babies, raising families, trying to deal with with the assortment of issues that men being with men can present. So I'm just like, we got to give women a break, y'all. So that's how I kind of look at it, as well.
All right, let me give you some applause on that. I like that. So let me get your view on free speech, because I know a lot of times, man, people when they have differing views, it's almost like, people say, oh yeah, well, you attacking my free speech. Nah, it's not the fact that I'm attacking your free speech. It's just in certain places and spaces, it's almost like, okay, if I have a view that's different from yours, now you're trying to say that I hate you, I'm attacking your freedom of speech, and I'm trying to police you. What's your view on free speech?
I think that free speech speaks to the very heart of what makes America great. We heard in the last administration, the last presidential administration, this whole "Make America Great Again, Make America Great." But the reality is that America has always been great, because of free speech. It's something that is a right. It's not even a privilege. It is a First Amendment right within our Constitution. It's something that we champion here in America, and it's something that makes me proud to be an American, because you can see with everything going on right now, in places like Russia, for example, and all of this, the things that are going on as far as like Ukraine and nuclear crisis and all this kind of thing, that it's not something that's a global right. There are plenty of people, even in 2022, who don't have the right to exercise their free speech and freedom of press and be able to get on platforms and speak their minds, speak their piece. So it's something that I definitely cherish as an American, and as somebody who, I was going to say what I was going to say regardless. so I'm like, thank God that I'm here, because Lord knows if I was somewhere else, like I don't know where what would have happened to me, because you can't shut me up. I think that people trying to censor other people is very, very problematic. A lot of what gets, like these terminologies, that when people say, things like, homophobic, and like they weaponize these terms like homophobic, transphobic, even heterophobic. I mean, a lot of times, it's the intention is to silence. The intention is to cancel and to just shut down the conversation, because they see people's very opinions as threats. And it's very, very harmful, because the reality is that I always look at it like this. People have their opinions regardless. Where every day when you go outside, or whether you go to your job, or you go into the gas station, the bank, the grocery store, the supermarket, wherever, people are out there and they have their opinions, and they're navigating their life based off of their opinions. So people not being able to feel comfortable to voice their opinions does nothing for us as a society.
Yeah.
It's like we actually can benefit so much more from communing and listening, hearing each other out, even when it's a bit uncomfortable. Like I think that uncomfortable conversations is always where the money is. It's always where the gold is. And a lot of times, we haven't been equipped, with the tools that it takes to navigate these conversations, especially, with the education system that we have, and in certain communities, there's certain struggles. I mean, even when it comes to the way that men communicate versus women, and all these kinds of things, not everybody is an effective communicator, but it's really important to be able to communicate openly and comfortably, because, like I said, the reality is that people are going to have their opinions regardless. So we can really, really do ourselves a disservice by shutting down those with opposing viewpoints, just because we don't like what they have to say.
Yeah, I agree. Let me give you some applause on that one. Because I think a lot of times, it's when we don't want to hear a person that we can't really understand how to fix the issue, if I could just say it like that. Because I think a lot of times people, I've walked into certain rooms and I've asked the question, even when it came to the transgender issue, how is it that you want to be seen? How is it that you need to be protected? And the crazy thing, I didn't get no answers, but it was almost like, instead of giving answers, I just want to keep the fight going. I just want to keep the arguments going, because that's what gets attention.
Yeah. I mean, these are definitely, controversial topics, and there's a lot of emotion there. There's a lot of pain there. I know, being a gay, a person from a person from a Christian, Black, Caribbean household, and growing up, when I did, 80s and 90s, it is very, very, very challenging, to just feel comfortable being yourself. And when you constantly are being told that who you are, which is, mind you, not all of who you are, right? Because I think that people as human beings, it's just so funny that, the heteronormative, straight, world, straight people don't get defined by, their sexual orientation. It's just a thing. It's like, okay, I'm straight. Like, it's not really a big deal. But it seems that, when the roles are reversed, when it comes to, people from the LGBT community, there's like this hyperfixation, on sexual orientation because it's deemed as deviant, it's deemed as perverse, it's deemed as, immoral and, against religions and ideologies and all these kinds of things. And it's really, really unfortunate because the reality is that I'm a gay Christian. Yes, I said it, gay Christian. A lot of people don't believe that you can be, you can have faith as a queer person. And I think it's just simply not true. There's gay pastors. There's, gay people been in church. Like, if we really want to go there, I mean, like, and even in Black communities, the Black church is such a powerful force, and especially in the South and everything. But when you actually, look at things, just, take a little gander, like, choir director who's directing your music is gay, been gay. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, the deacon, the altar boys, like, there's been gay people up in the church since jump, Yeah. And it's like people like to gloss over that. And I think there's just been this culture of, like, it's like this don't ask, don't tell, don't say gay, kind of thing, particularly in religious communities. And it's very, very harmful because the reality is that, listen, the percentage, the fear of, just this pervasive gayness, like it's COVID-19 or something and people catching it. Yeah. Like, you can't catch gay. Yeah. It's so absolutely asinine and just absurd to even think that way. And a lot of times the people who do think that way, those are the people who just don't actually commune with gay people. They don't actually know gay people, because if you actually would just take a moment to sit down, person to person, human to human, and actually talk to somebody who's gay, you would gain an understanding of a lot of the preconceived notions and the pervasive, stereotypes about gay people are just complete and utter nonsense.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. Let me give you some applause, because I want to ask you this question. I want to get your perspective on DL, on download.
Okay.
Because
now we get into it.
Yeah, because it's always. I mean, the thing is that it's like when that term came out. I mean, that term it not only does it mess up the heterosexual community at times, but it also messes up the LGBTQ community as well. I mean that's just my perspective and opinion of how I see that term. So I just want to, see what's your perspective on it?
Well, I think there's so many layers to it, but the DL phenomenon is, it's really a byproduct of homophobia. Okay. because it's and for anybody who doesn't know, DL, it just means down low. It means usually, and it's usually geared to men, and particularly black men, really, if we want to talk about it, who tend to live their lives as straight, but in terms of the public, live publicly as straight. Oftentimes they have girlfriends or wives, even children, whole families, and then they're kind of living these double lives as engaging in sexual activity with men on the low, in secret behind closed doors, and then coming home to their wives, girlfriends, etc., and like nothing ever happened. And it's very, very problematic. It's very unfortunate because there are tons of different situations. I mean, there are those who are bisexual who just like, that would be the B in LGBT, who just like both men and women, and they just find it easier to navigate that way, and I guess fulfill their sexual appetites or whatever the case may be, and which is not the right way to do that. But a lot of times it's easier, to navigate that way without any suspicion when you have like when you have a family. Like it's like that's what's up in the front. Like that's your cover,
Yeah.
But there are people who literally get married because they feel like that's what they were told to do. They come from really religious upbringings, or maybe they're the only son, within their family, and they have, only sisters, or maybe they're only child, and they just have this pressure, since youth, to basically, live that life of, just what we're told to do as a society, the heteronormative life, and, with the wife and kids and the picket fence and the two cars and the yard and everything like that. That's not who they are. And eventually, people who navigate that way, eventually, there are going to be many, many problems that come from that. Eventually, somebody's going to find out. Eventually, somebody's going to tell your wife. Eventually, something is going to happen. And a lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of times these people who engage in that life, men who are on the DL, they're not using protection. They're bringing certain things home. As far as STDs, because there's a sense of freedom, that they have in the gay community that they're not getting at home, in their navigating their straight lives, and it's really, really unfortunate because it feeds into the negative stereotypes that a lot of people have about the LGBT community at large, that we're, just out there to deceive and, like home wreckers and break up families. And it's just unfortunate because gay people are some of the most family oriented people, like as a group, like as a collective, gay people yearn for family. Like oftentimes, and there are a lot of people who are outside of gay culture, they might not know, but there's things called houses in the gay community.
Yeah.
When where in the ballroom scene where people, a lot of times gay kids, gay youth who get kicked out of their houses for being gay, like from their family, they're welcomed and accepted into like these gay families, where there other gay kids or youth, teenagers, whatever the case may be, who will welcome and accept them, and there's like so much beauty in that with like the ballroom scene, and there's which has really been something that's highlighted on the show Pose, for example, with Billy Porter, and the trans community as well, and you can see like the beauty in it. But a lot of like this idea, this notion that gay people are anti-family is just wrong. It's so harmful, and because even when you look at adoption, when it comes to kids, obviously gay people don't tend to have kids the traditional way, but gay families who adopt are some of the most nurturing and loving families. Like if you actually listen to children who were raised by gay families, two moms or two dads, whatever the case may be, those are some of the most well-nourished, balanced, and just like they've become so amazing members of society because they were so enriched, and so loved and so nurtured as children of gay families. So I just think that, back to the whole DL thing, I think that that is something that is going to remain a problem and within our society, because until we get to a place where we learn to be accepting and we stop putting all this pressure on everybody to conform. It's the conformity and the expectation, to subscribe to, conformity and to make everybody the same, that sparks this culture, that is DL. So we need to make a lot of changes, y'all.
Yeah, I agree. Let me give you some applause. Because I think the one thing, I'm like, and you were talking about bisexual. I'm like, well, wouldn't it be easier for a DL man to just say, hey, I'm bisexual. I have a family, but I also am attracted and have sex with men. I'm just trying to navigate and wonder what would be the problem with you just saying you're bisexual? Because it's almost like it's accepted with women, but it's almost like when a man says he's bisexual, it's like, ooh, they look at you all crazy sometimes.
Right. And I think that the reality of that is that a lot of people don't even believe in bisexual. Like a lot of people, in terms of straight people, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who, if a man says he's bisexual, they'll be like, oh, you're gay. Like, you just don't want to say you're gay. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. They immediately hyperfixate and completely dismiss the heterosexual, part. And there is a spectrum of people who are bisexual who have certain tendencies for one or the other, but there are people who are pretty much 50-50. It's just like man and woman, they're both attractive. Okay, great. It's a great time. Yeah. So, but the reason why they're not out in that way is because a lot of people, when it comes to, straight men, and even straight women, they don't like straight, because I've been in some of these rooms where they have these conversations, and there are straight women who say that they just don't want to be involved with men that way. They feel like they feel like they can't compete. Like they want men who they don't, that, like, a lot of times I think women, okay, it's different for men and women. I think that, like, in terms of the straight world, straight men and straight women, I think they think a little bit differently. But I feel like a lot of times for women are extremely territorial, and they want you to want them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, if any, because they're not trying to be in they're not trying to be in any competition that they can't win. So a lot of times, like, I was in a room where they were talking about, you know, why, like, you know, like women, like why straight women would not want to date bisexual men. And it's really, because they don't want to feel like there's any sort of competition, and like anything that they can give that they, that their men would want, that they can't give. And I think, you know, there's already so much competition as it pertains to other women. So they can't even fathom, you know, a bisexual man who is interested in both. So I can kind of get it from that perspective. Yeah. But then there are also a lot of times women tend to emasculate men, which is a very, very, very big problem. Gay men tend to be more bisexual men, you know, men who express, you know, sexual interest in other men. Any men, you know, whether they're gay or bisexual, like a lot of times these men tend to be emasculated by straight men and straight women, you know. And I think it's something that speaks to the problematic nature of homophobia and biphobia and just queerphobia, and like just in general, and people not understanding that a lot of the notions and the stereotypes and you know, these kind of these things that people think about people from, you know, the LGBT community, it's just not true. It's just not true. Like, I know personally multiple people who who have, like, okay, just because you are bisexual, I think that, okay, there's also this attachment or connection, this correlation between being gay and being promiscuous. Yeah. Right? And especially with bisexual, it's just like, oh, people think, oh, it's just a free for all. You just, you know, wait, can I cuss on here?
Yeah. JJ, yes, I cuss on here. I say the first one for you. What the fuck?
I was just like, wait, let me check real quick. But I'm just like, they just thinking that, you know, when it comes to bisexual men, they just think it's like a free for all. Like, you out here, you know, just fucking everything with the hoe. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it's just that's actually not the case. You know, there are bisexual men who are very monogamous. Okay. You know, who will be in a relationship with a woman. You know, and you know, if that ends, maybe the next relationship they'll be in with a man. It's not as salacious, you know, as people might think that it is. It's like, nah, it's literally just like, it's just another option. It's just another interest, you know, because people who are cheaters, it's cheaters who are going to cheat. Yeah. It's not people who are of a certain sexual orientation who are going to cheat. And I think that that's a really, really harmful correlation when it comes to, you know, bisexual men. And I think that that's a lot of the time why they navigate the way that they do, because they feel like it's a lose-lose situation. They feel like if they're open and honest about, you know, the full gamut of their, you know, orientation, then they're going to be judged, they're going to be dismissed, they're going to be emasculated, and they're just not going to be given the respect, the same respect that, you know, straight people get. So they figure, hey, why put myself through all that? You know, I'll just be straight and do what I do. You know, I'll be straight publicly and then do, you know, have this family or you know, whatever the case may be, and then do what I do, you know, on the low, and that's just how it is, and it's really, really unfortunate because it's not really good for the gay community as well, because you don't really have full access, to people like that. Like I know for me, I've definitely engaged in some situations with. I ain't saying I've been with no married men, but I've definitely been, with people who are bisexual who said like, oh, they're in a relationship, whatever the case may be, but they still like to, get their little, side, their little freak on the side, and which is really just like an open relationship, at that point.
Yeah.
But it's really unfortunate for me because I'm just like, well, like I can't get full access to you. Like this can only go so far because, you already tied up in something else. And I think that it really inhibits the both sides because no side basically has full access to you.
Yeah.
And so you're just getting, portions and fragments of a person rather than that whole person's, interest and attention and heart,
Yeah, exactly. Let me give you some applause because I remember, man, a while back, I met this woman, and the crazy thing, I met her on the dating site and everything, and we started connecting. And the crazy thing about it is that she didn't tell me initially that she was bisexual. And she was like, yo, I can get a girl for both of us. And I was like, oh my God. And the crazy thing, seriously. And the thing with me is my insecurity couldn't take that. Because in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, that sounds good, but what if she bring the girl in here and then the girl start liking her more and then she stopped liking me? And it was, I was like, nah, I can't do this because I was thinking like, okay, if she brings this girl in here and we do this, then what if all of a sudden one day she wakes up and don't want to be with me no more? Or what if the girl wants to be with me and I want to be with the girl and then I want to kick her to the curb? You know what I mean? So it was crazy. It was crazy because most guys would be like, yo, that's the perfect setup. And I'm like, nah, man, I got too many insecurity issues for something like that.
Yeah, I think that I will say that threesomes, that is, though, listen, threesomes are not for the faint of heart. You have to be very, very, like you have to be very secure with yourself, with your relationship, and with your rules. And like that, like I always feel like my girl Wendy Williams always says, like, like threesomes are to be done on vacation. Like you go away somewhere, somewhere far away from where you live. On a vacation and get like a cute barmaid,
Yeah.
and somebody preferably who doesn't speak English, and then you you take it back to the hotel room, do what you do, and then you fly back home. Which I'm like I could kind of understand because threesomes can just get really, really messy. Especially, I think that for anybody who like you really, really in love with, especially the type of person that you are, like if you haven't been in open relationships or shared your partner with other people before, that can really make you feel some type of way.
Yeah.
Like if you're a very territorial person, like like I am, it's like I don't want my man messing with nobody else, or like you for you, brother, like I don't want my girl out here messing with anybody else. If there is that, like, well, shoot, like, if they try it, they might like it. You never know. I mean, I think that it is a very real concern because the reality is that there are people who who are just testing the waters, and who are comfortable using people, using situations to kind of be a bit to be self-serving, and to kind of like, okay, so like, we're going to do this, and if I like it, then I might just, continue what I got going on with brother, and then, call up, Michelle, on Wednesday and Thursday, when brother's at work or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And that shit is not cool. Like,
yeah, exactly. See, I know me.
That's not
I'm serious.
Cool.
I know me. I'm like, nah. And I mean, as tempting as it was, and as much as I liked the lady, I was like, nah, I can't do this because y'all will have me like going crazy. You know what I mean? I'm like, nah, 'cause I can see the end of that for me, and it wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good from on my end. I'm serious because I'm territorial. I can get jealous real fast. So, I just know how I am. And I know, some people try to say that, you need to do. I'm like, look, if I am transparent about my insecurity, that don't mean you take what I'm insecure with and just decide, hey, I'm going to tie it in a knot and I'm going to drive all the way to Texas.
Right. Like, I don't think it's not cool to be weaponizing people's insecurities. Like, it's like insecurities are natural. And to be honest, like, really everybody has them. Like, just there are certain people who are more, open and honest and transparent with their insecurities than other people. But everybody has them. So I think it's not even cool to, to kind of point that out and try to shame anybody just because they're keeping it real with you, because when it comes down to, like, I feel like the whole like threesome scenario is really honestly best. And I'll tell you, because I've definitely had my experience in the threesome world, but it's best with people who you don't have any emotional attachment to.
Okay.
Because if you really love somebody, you just, like, a lot of times, especially like when you're a territorial, people like you and I, brother, like, you're like, I don't even want you like hugging my person too close. Like, back up, bruh. Mm-hmm. Back up, sis. Back up.
Yeah. Like, ooh, she keeps getting too much.
50 feet.
Like, ooh, they laughing too much.
Give me 50 feet.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that hug was a little long. That's right. That's not a church hug.
Exactly. Like you got to leave room for Jesus. Like, what you doing?
Exactly. Oh, that's funny. Leave room for Jesus. Let me get some props. Oh man, I like that. Leave room for Jesus. But hey, look. Let me switch it up. So, okay. How have you been dealing with some of these trolls in some of these rooms?
Oh, child. The trolls. Like, remember the good old days when the trolls just used to be, up under, like, a dusty bridge somewhere?
Yeah.
Like, like, who told them to, like, point their crazy looking, claws, up on a keyboard and start coming after people? I just, like, listen, I think that haters are going to hate. Hating is nothing new to me. It's, people have been hating on me since far back as I can remember. What can you do? I think that it's really unfortunate because social media has given a platform for trolling to even become a thing. It's like, people just, these keyboard gangsters, sitting up in their mama's basement, just, attacking people, just because they don't like their perspective. And I personally, have had people, even people on Clubhouse, literally, like conspire to deplatform me, to falsely, they literally like one of these trolls who are on here who I won't even mention because like that individual is not even worth mentioning. Like, trust me, in every way, just completely underwhelming. But basically, literally got some minions together up in a room and was conspiring, coming up with ideas to make false accusations against me and falsely report me, and get her minions to do it, and all with the intention to get me deplatformed, just because she didn't like what I was saying. And I think that it is extremely harmful, extremely disrespectful, and anti-American, really, for people to try to censor and silence you just because they don't like what you have to say. I mean, when it comes to the people who come up on stages and they say, they make stupid little comments, like I don't even pay them any attention, because I'm like, you just sit their behinds right back to the goo, and keep it moving. But it's the underhanded, nefarious, malicious, people who will do, things like I just mentioned, conspiring against you to try to get you removed from a platform, to basically, silence your voice and your perspective, just because they don't like where you fall on issues. Even when you have literally not been objectively offensive, not used any sort of epithets, not used any derogatory terminology, like literally try to validate and understand where people are coming from, and they still try to attack you just because they're threatened by where you fall on an issue. It just seems so. It seems really pathetic to me, to be quite honest, and it seems really reductive and ridiculous, because at the end of the day, you ain't gonna silence me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say what I have to say. Like I'm like Nene Leakes said on the Housewives reunion. Like, I said what I said, and I meant what I said. You know what I mean? It's like, if you don't like it, then that's okay. Yeah. Not everything that everybody says, everybody's gonna like. Not everything is for everybody. But you need to understand that, like, people need to understand that just because people fall in a certain fall on a spectrum on an issue, and they have a perspective and a viewpoint and a vantage point that is contrasting or opposing to yours, that doesn't mean that they hate you. That doesn't mean that they are looking for you to disappear, or they mean any harm against you or anything like that. Because I know that that's not me. That's not my heart. Like, I truly love everybody. Like, I just like for people to be honest and be authentic about the nature of issues, and not just talk about things on a surface level, but do deep dives into issues. And because I think that that's the only way that we're going to come up with long-lasting, solutions to these issues. Because if we're just going to, kind of lightly just, brush over them, then they're going to keep occurring. But if we actually, get right to that root, then we're able to kind of be like, okay, boom. And a lot of these things are complex, whether it's, the issues involving the trans community, issues involving, certain political, situations, or talking about immigration or abortion. Like, a lot of the rooms that I'm in, I definitely, like to engage, and it's some hard hitting issues that have been, talked about for quite some time. And they are very complex. They are very, layered, and sometimes the rhetoric is a bit intense. But I know for me, just sometimes I've had to reconcile with the fact that not everybody is going to understand where you're coming from. But as long as you share your perspective with a pure heart, and your intentions are pure, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know who you are. God knows who you are. You don't have to. I've learned that you can share your some of your background, and and I definitely will be the one to let people know that I can substantiate my points, because I'm qualified to speak on everything that I'm speaking on. Sometimes I've come, being on Clubhouse, like I've come across people who feel like, well, who are you to speak on this? And so I have to check people and let people know, listen, baby, anything that JJ is speaking on, JJ is fully equipped, to speak on. You know what I mean? Like, I come with full, 50-page receipts. You know what I mean? Like, I don't play. So, but I've learned that, you're not going to, there are going to be people who intentionally villainize you, even when you're, coming with open arms and with an open heart, and just with a nuanced perspective that they just don't like, or they don't fancy, and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay.
Exactly. Let me give you some applause on that one. Because I think at the end of the day, they can't stop you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They
that
just
part.
can't. You know what I mean?
Part.
So I was in a room, and it's a content creator on Clubhouse. His name is Dr. Julio, and somebody clipped at him, had his page terminated and everything like that. But then he was able to get his page back, and he got on the stage with the person who was coming against him. And he was like, what are you going to do to stop me? How can you stop me? What are you going to do to stop me? And the person couldn't say anything. All they could say was, well, we're just going to keep on doing what we're doing now. So that means basically they're going to create rooms refuting what he's saying, but they can't stop him saying what he says. So,
which is so, it's just like, doesn't that seem so futile? Doesn't that seem so, like, just absolutely ridiculous, and just like, it's just a waste of time. Like, why, get so riled up, over somebody's opinion? It's like, dude, I think that, honestly, the reason why these sorts of things happen because like, what was it that Tom Cruise set up in that movie? Or no, it was not Tom Cruise. It was Jack Nicholson, when he was just like, when Tom Cruise said, I want the truth, and he was like, you can't handle the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really what it is, because you don't get really that riled up over lies. Like, I know for me, if people are just saying something, ratchet and ridiculous, I'm just like, child, I don't even have, I'm not even going to waste my breath, on this foolishness, because, you'll have You know, the reality is that, you know, there are so many people who are really, they choose to be willfully ignorant, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just like, it's like there's no point there. But for the times when something is really, it's offensive because you don't agree. It's like, isn't it? I think it would. People's energy would be better served getting in there, engaging in conversation, like letting people know where you stand on an issue.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly.
Like I know for me that's like when I'm in Clubhouse, like and I do my rooms, I keep my replays on.
Yeah.
You know, because I want people, like, you know, I don't like to be mischaracterized. Like that is, I think, something that is very, 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 very harmful. You know, when people, you know, take what you say and twist it around and try to create, you know, narratives, you know, to disparage you. Like, you know, that type of activity is very, very nefarious, and I always, you know, try to protect myself against that by, you know, keeping my replays on, so that people, it's like, okay, well, you didn't, what JJ said, what? Oh, you don't have to listen to me tell you about what I said. Go back to the room. It's right up there on my profile. What? Yeah. And what? You know what I mean? I stand by everything that I say. So, you know, I feel like if people don't like what you have to say, then say that. But I just think, you know, when people get into this whole thing of, you know, I'm going to start a counter room, you know, and just try to attack it. I've had that done actually to me and the co-founder, well, more like sub-co-founder, because I came up with like my own club on Clubhouse called Give and Take 101. And I had a friend on here, Prince, who he helped me kind of set it up. I mean, it was my brainchild, but he kind of helped me set it up. And he's done some rooms with me, but I think he's kind of shifted gears at this point, you know, so I just kind of have, you know, forged on, you know, with my club. But, you know, like I've had, you know, done rooms where people have done, you know, rooms like they didn't like what I said in the room, and then they'll do that. Like I literally had a club, I had a room, a counter room called Jay. And just talking about, like, you know, like just reducing me to being a gay man and saying that, you know, gay men shouldn't talk about trans women, you know, and it's always, you know, or a gay black man. I'm just like, you know, or just Jay, like, or Jay, you know, Jay has to go, and just stupid, you know, stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like, dude, I honestly, part of me finds it amusing because I'm just like, it seems so petty and so, you know, so elementary, you know, like, ooh, I don't like you. Let me go and get with my, you know, He-Man Woman Hater Club, you know, like Little Rascals or something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know, I'm like, just go get your little, you know, pitchfork and your little pointy hat and go over there and do whatever you're gonna do. You know, boil some, you know, boiling water in your cauldron and do whatever you're gonna do. But at the end of the day, I'm still gonna be here, and I'm still going to shine no matter what kind of darkness, you know, is trying to, you know, overshadow me, you know, or come against me. Wait, what's the scripture, brother?
No weapon that is formed against me, no weapon that is formed against you shall not prosper.
Yeah, exactly. No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. Like, don't try it. Because at the end of the day, it's like, I am, you know, I'm God's child, and Listen, there was a lot of things that Jesus said that people didn't like. So, why would we be surprised, that wouldn't, or think that wouldn't apply to us. So I kind of look at it like that. This ain't nothing personal for me, but I do feel like it's important that, platforms like Clubhouse really stay attuned to creating protection for people to navigate their free speech, especially when, at the end of the day, there's nothing that I think it's a little bit different, when you're out there and you're engaging in hate speech and you're using, derogatory terminology and you're calling people out of their name and you're using epithets. And there are those rooms on Clubhouse. I think that, I don't engage in that kind of behavior. I think that it's absolutely deplorable and disgusting. And I just, my values, as a Christian and just as a person, I don't relish in tearing people down. I try to build people up. But I think that, that's a different conversation. But I do, in terms of hate speech and people who engage in that and how we can kind of control that. But as far as like the platform, I think it's really, really important, on any really social media platform or just, public platforms, digital virtual platforms, that we uphold our, our freedom of speech, because that is, the very essence of what it means to, be in the free world as an American.
Exactly.
And I think that needs to be upheld at all costs.
I agree with you. Let me give you some applause. So hey,
I love
JJ.
This applause.
Well, hey, I just want to say, hey, you brought the thunder today. Let me give you that thunder too.
Oh, come on, Thunder.
Seriously. So JJ, how can people follow you on Clubhouse? How can they start, following your room? What's the name of your room? How can they follow you?
Okay. Well, the name of my club is Give and Take 101. And my name is JJ. You can follow me at Forever 20 Young 1. So it's at Forever 20 Young 1. Forever 20 Young 1. That is my at, and my name is JJ. So please stay tuned, because baby, like, we're just scratching the surface. Like, there is so much more to come, and I am just getting started. So stay tuned, y'all.
I love it. Hey, do you got TikTok? Are you on TikTok?
Not yet. There is definitely more to come. In terms of, I have so many ideas about just, creating content. This is something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. People have told me for years, people told me like, I need my own show. I should be on TV. And, I've actually been on TV and in some movies and stuff like that, because I used to do background acting, so I've been on sets, and I'm ready to do all of those things, and take things to a whole other level, to kind of, be the face and, be in front of the camera and, navigate like my own shows, my own content, and the branding and everything like that. Working on those things now, because I definitely want to have a cohesive, start to, JJ's World, so listen, it's definitely, all those things are in the works, as far as social media and everything like that. But for now, you can kind of stay tuned on Clubhouse and just know that, like I said, this is only the beginning. Like, just wait. You're going to love everything that I have to offer.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Let me give that applause. But hey, it has definitely been a pleasure. And I'm so looking forward to the future that is for you. Because I see it bright and I see it, affecting and impacting everybody's world. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the gift that God has given you.
Amen to all of that. Thank you for, I just want to take a moment to thank you, brother. You have been such a light, such a, listen, y'all, there's so many people who say that they Christians, say that they're, men of God, but, seeing, you actually, you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk, and I just appreciate you so much for, lending me your platform, and your contribution and participation, in my vision and helping me, get my start and get my foot in the door to, get my dreams, started. So thank you so much, brother. I wish you all of the best and continued success and bigger and brighter and an abundance of, everything that God has in store. Because we were called, a lot of people, sometimes Christians forget that we weren't just called to exist. We were called to live and live abundantly. And I believe that God has an abundance of blessings and joy, and it's going to manifest in every aspect of our lives. And I just am so looking forward to that. So I wish you continued success, brother.
All right, JJ. I so appreciate you, brother. You have a blessed day, and we will definitely catch up, all right?
All right. Take care now.
All right. Be blessed. All right. Bye.
All right. Likewise. Take care.
All right. All right, guys. That was JJ. Man, I am so loving this whole thing about talking about free speech. We did it yesterday with Mother. We did it today with JJ. And I'm not going to lie, man, just seeing both perspectives, talking about the LGBTQ world, talking about relationships, talking about how people come against you. And the one thing that I want you to know is this, is that if God is giving you a voice, if God is giving you a gift, then go ahead, do what you are supposed to do. Be who you are supposed to be. Because the one thing that I'm going to say is this, somebody will listen to you. Somebody needs to hear your testimony. And sometimes you are the light that people need in this darkness.
Walk in the truth that makes you free every day. Follow Brother Leon on all social media outlets.